Once upon a time, there was a story called Genealogy. And as the book opened, we began to learn about where we belonged. We began to learn about our physical traits and all of our predispositions to diseases, to the health regimes we needed, all of those physical pieces. Now comes a new discovery. I've discovered, and I think it's going to blow your socks off. I've discovered that you can trace your emotional predispositions, your patterns, your unconscious loyalties, the limiting factors back to your genealogy via the events that happened in your family system and the effects that they've had on your family system and now you. This is an exciting discovery that's going to take you from just understanding how you belong and where to what on earth makes you tick and what I can do with that. So, let me give you an example of how you can use your genealogy to understand your emotional patterns. I had a client who came in who was a workaholic. The guy was super successful, worked 3 jobs, didn't need to, but said that he felt terribly guilty if he wasn't exhausted and wanted to know how he could put the exhaustion down. When we looked at his genealogy and looked at his father and grandfather's history, they'd come from Eastern Europe and migrated into the US. They had to work very, very hard to have a decent standard of living for their families. And so exhaustion was seen as a source of pride. Now, here's what happens with emotional patterns. They cycle down to you precisely so that you can reframe them and turn them into something stronger. This is what we would almost call a genealogical emotional pattern. So, what he had was this exhaustion. When he looked at what his father and grandfather had done, he could finally turn around and say to them, "Thank you. You worked so hard so that I could have a good life. Now I need to bring in play." Once he understood the pattern of exhaustion in his family and also understood that if he didn't change it, he was going to pass it on to his children, the aha was in place and he knew that he had to bring in something different. He chose play, fun, and relaxation. And with that new insight, he could then take his whole family on an amazing vacation, something that hadn't happened in 3 generations. You can see quite clearly how thoughts, feelings, and actions come from your genealogy and decisions made about events that occur there, and then become patterns within your system and eventually within you personally. They are clues, though. If you read them carefully and you understand them, those are the clues to reframe what was into something new that can then become your superpower. Now you are creating new emotional DNA. And guess what? You're creating something new for your genealogy too.